Hey, Picasso's freestyle. Let's do it. Hey, eating couple wings with a couple kings. They're my favorite things. Hey, hey. That's all I got. I'm not a good freestyle rapper. Wait, hold on. Let me think for a second.
Folks, but we hope everyone is putting their rapping skills to the test this holiday season. And a happy holiday to you from our crew here at What's TrainWreck Watching. Unless you've been hiding under a bridge or running amongst the New York City skyline, you know we've been breaking down the Disney Plus series from Marvel Studios, Hawkeye, and we are finally at the light at the end of the tunnel. Episode 6, the finale, the sign-off of Hawkeye. So let's get our crew in here. We got Mr. Hollywood, Casali Files, and the Micah Man, Jake Micah. As always, What's TrainWreck Watching? Sponsored by Picasso's Pizza, obviously. So let's take a bite. Let's get into it. What did you guys think of this Hawkeye finale? 6 weeks in the books, and we closed the books on it.
And already, today just seems like a huge week, super week with everything coming out with Hawkeye. We just had No Way Home, Matrix tonight, Boba Fett next week. It's been chaos, but sweet chaos, and rightfully so, because this tonight episode was very good. It was, it was a great wrap up to everything that was set up within the show, kind of bringing everything together as one finale should. And just a great time. It kind of moved along really well. I enjoyed it a lot, and again, it just kind of showed why we had this show in the first place, the connection between Hawkeye and, of course, our lovely newest superhero, Kate Bishop. Lots of surprises. I really, I had a great time with it for sure.
Yeah, this is the first one that I didn't really. I thought that this kind of felt like a mid-season finale or something like that. Like there's still a lot more. Like they did kind of wrap up a lot and kind of give us some closure, but they kind of just gave us new threads to kind of go off on a lot of these people. I'm sure going to explain some of this is going to end up here or not, but it was a great. This show pulled off. I mean, I was not like I've said before multiple times. We talked about a bunch of these shows. This show I was not like excited about when it was announced. As excited about some of these other shows, and it delivered pretty much every episode. And the finale was definitely satisfying. I don't know if it was the strongest episode of this season, but definitely satisfying for what they're doing going forward.
Yeah, this felt like a Hydra episode. For every storyline that closed, another one took its place. It was crazy to see. So let's get into it. We got Hawkeye episode 6. Obviously it's the week of Christmas. Basically the last 2 days of Christmas. I don't know how long this Christmas week has been going on that Hawkeye's been having in New York City. Yeah. But a lot to like, love, and even, necessarily not like or hate about this episode. So I'll kick it off. I was loving that they got right into the Kingpin because I'm a casual. I don't have the Daredevil background, so I was excited that he was getting the opening scene and that he's obviously getting his shine throughout the episode. I really like that. I guess he's just like a Jabba the Hutt that can like walk around and like basically pummel everyone was my takeaway.
Pretty much. Yep.
Yeah.
So kudos to him. I think the city would be silly to not acknowledge his greatness and make sure that his power is restored one way or the other. I did love that, we finally got the Hawkeye-Kate Bishop partnership. It was the payoff that we were looking for this whole time. I mean, well, especially that Kate was looking for. So that was super exciting. I guess to the hate, I guess the pizza dog. I didn't really see much closure there. So that's my take on that one.
Yeah. He got a name.
He did get lucky. I guess this is what I would say. This is what I would say. The pizza dog stock is down because the lucky stock is up. So.
That's true. Very true. Very true.
As far as where it ranks, this is what I would say. I would say for me, I'm going to rank it 3 out of 4. I'm going to rank Loki, and I'm going to rank out of 5. We're at 5 now, right? Because we have Falcon, Winter Soldier, Loki, WandaVision, What If.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna rank it. I'm gonna rank it 3 out of 5. And I'm not gonna get into which ones I have in specific ranks because I'll leave that to you guys. What do you got, Casali?
No, yeah, I mean, obviously, the big question from the cliffhanger of last week's was, okay, so Kingpin's back.
Uh-oh,
Let's get
someone's
into
got
it.
Kingsman on the mind.
Kingsman.
He's getting ready.
The King's Man.
Yeah, the King's Man. Well, yeah, who knows how that's gonna go. But anyway, back to Marvel. Kingpin, of course. That got me very excited. I was very intertwined with the Daredevil stuff. I love everything that they did 1 through 3. I got the chance to see their Comic-Con panel when they came to Manhattan a couple years ago and seeing everybody on stage. And it was just so exciting, especially with the treat we got in No Way Home to leading to this. I think was just a very satisfying journey through everyone who stuck around with those Netflix shows. I really, like I said, was a huge fan of those. Daredevil really was my favorite. And the Punisher, but that's kind of, they go hand in hand. And so just seeing Vincent D'Onofrio back as Kingpin, I mean, that was really the standout, aside from, really exploring Kate Bishop and Hawkeye's relationship. I mean, that alone was just terrifying, like it really shows, because Kingpin is a huge, villain on the streets, Hell's Kitchen. I mean, everything that he does, he's always intertwined with something. And, obviously with a lot of characters that we have within the MCU, Spider-Man and all that stuff, he really, takes the cake with a lot of street level crime. So, yeah. I mean, this can only lead to more. I mean, as far as the episode itself, it really did feel like a wrap up to what's to come. And, but, look, with all MCU goes, I think we've all kind of been trained at this point where nothing is final. It's always going to lead to something. So even though it didn't feel like a complete wrap up, you always kind of expect what's to come with whether there's once Kate Bishop comes back, Yelena, Hawkeye, all that stuff, and especially Kingpin. I mean, like I said, it was just a great introduction to that. I mean, I really loved not only the Hawkeye Kate Bishop relationship within this episode. I thought that was, so strong, and it kind of it makes me so excited to see what's to come. But what makes me really excited, I hope we get some more Yelena Kate Bishop stuff, because they really have a strong connection there, and it's really, I mean it's, the second generation Black Widow, second generation Hawkeye, whatever you call it. I think that really has exciting stuff. What's the lead? I mean, a partner, like a road trip movie of them two would just be awesome. So, and a lot of stuff we just wish to see, a lot of surprises, but I was pleased. It was a very satisfying conclusion to what's to come. And I mean, who knows if we're gonna get a season 2? Who knows if stuff's gonna lead into the Echo series coming out? But it was just,
yeah, for sure.
Hawkeye Hump Day Wednesday. It was just, it's these. That's why these shows are here. It's just always fun to dive into the world, sitting on your couch, Disney Plus. You got your movies and No Way Home blowing the doors off of what they're able to do with the multiverse. So this is just a nice street level stuff. And again, it's just a lot of fun, and it's Christmas. I mean, what's better than Christmas entertainment? The week before. So,
yeah. Well, Clint and Kate kind of ruined Christmas, I think, for a lot of New Yorkers in this episode.
Yeah, I mean,
they really did. I'm not even joking. There are people that would be heartbroken
until you deface some major property. So
it's true. Welcome on board. Welcome aboard, Kate. She had no difference. Maniac, you were right last week, as I didn't think we were going to get as much Kingpin. So, I mean, you guys both called it, saying that we'd get a decent amount of him. We got a lot more in this whole episode than I thought. I don't know. It was a weird. We'll get into it when we start getting into spoiler territory of how they brought, Kingpin.
So let's get into it. I mean, let's face it. We're 10 minutes in. If you're still listening and haven't seen Hawkeye yet, just stop, get out of it. But yeah, so like you said, I'll take all the credit in the world. We got a ton of Kingpin, but really because I'm a casual and I don't know a lot about Kingpin, so they were working the way. I love the way. First off, they used a great camera angle with Vera Farmiga where he stood over her and he literally looked like he was 5 feet
gigantic,
taller than her. It was ridiculous. He's definitely not that much taller than her. And then I also I don't know if this is just the way he always does the character. So I was reading online that this was a little bit more of a comic booky take on the character, but it also seems like he's sometimes he's like yelling stuff, but he's doing it in like a talking voice, which is
Yeah,
like funny.
yeah.
Like so I don't know. I thought this was hysterical. Like I loved Kingpin and I loved what we saw from him. But tell me your take, Micah, because obviously you had huge expectations coming in.
Part of the thing is he's supposed to be awkward. I would say that that's definitely like a thing. He's not I wouldn't say he's a social like butterfly or anything. And if you see like why like the kind of work he's in, you're not just running around in the clubs or doing any fun New York City activities. It was weird though. It was a weird presentation just because usually like they did do the stuff like you said, made him look physically imposing as much as they can and everything like that. But it seemed like he was getting worked by everybody around him right now, and that's something that you've never seen with Kingpin. I think, especially in the Daredevil series, like he was always 5 steps ahead, 6 steps ahead, MCU wise. I mean, that's how he is in the comics too. So this was like, and maybe that's what we're gonna find out in the Echo show or whatever other Kingpin offerings there are going to be. I think there's going to be a lot of Kingpin offerings coming up pretty soon with the way that he's kind of left off there in New York. Maybe not. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see. But I think that maybe that we're catching him on a time when shit is just all blowing up in his face, and we'll find that out because it didn't seem like he was clicking on all cylinders here for sure. Like his guard was definitely more down than I've ever seen it portrayed. So it was a little interesting. I'm not gonna lie. It was not what I was expecting out of the gate.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's so exciting that Vincent D'Onofrio's back. I think that alone, because when all the Netflix stuff was happening with they started canceling those series like one after another, and that was a big thing because those shows are so good. Like I really enjoy those some more than others. Like Iron Fist was all right and stuff, but the Daredevil stuff was just so good. So to see him come back and to portray Kingpin, I think you couldn't have anyone else, because and it's just like in the Daredevil show, like he really had with the voice and the menacing stuff, it really did feel like it was just coming from that show to this. And obviously with since we're in the spoiler section, spoilers for No Way Home, I mean, we also had another character come, which was Charlie Cox's Daredevil. So it was just so exciting to see that the MCU, Disney is now able to use those characters and utilize them in ways that we never seen, because obviously as a post Endgame world, a lot of characters have left. A lot of characters are kind of fishing around what they're doing. So it's cool that they have more toys in the sandbox. It's cool that they have a lot more avenues to go down. And I think that's what's exciting, for what's to come. And it's just, again, like the fan reaction itself. I mean, I think alone what you're going to see from this episode, I mean, just to see Kingpin, it's just, again, menacing. It's just so exciting to see him return and all that stuff. So, I mean, who's to say? Like, I'm very curious too, because of what this episode kind of falls along. Because this is obviously it's during Christmas now. With the ending of No Way Home, I believe this is now they're in a world where they don't really remember Spider-Man. I guess
they know Spider-Man. I think that's the general theory that I'm understanding, is that they all know who Spider-Man is, at least.
Yeah, it's so it's, I mean, who's to say? But again, I mean, for what we can lead up, I mean, again, we have another trilogy with Spider-Man on the table. So if that kind of gets into the Spider-Verse live action, who knows? But again, so this was definitely, I mean, got me so excited that Vincent D'Onofrio was able to play. He just released a video, I think, a couple hours ago, just explaining how grateful he was to return, because they were all like, they love doing this, but they were all back. I mean, listen, now we got these guys. I need John Bernthal back. Bring me Punisher back, and then I'll be truly satisfied.
I need Jessica Jones too. Give me
Kristen
Ritter and Jessica Jones too.
You guys just want a full import over there.
Yes, I do.
Full import of everything. That's fair. And speaking of, so I know you're talking, Sally, you're talking about your excitement for Yelena, and obviously we now have the Echo Unleashed, the Echo origin story. And I want to talk to you guys about that. Micah, are you aware of like the Echo comic origin story?
Well, yeah, and this is a famous, what we saw in this episode was a famous, or at least a take on one of the most famous Echo shots of the comics.
Spoilers, obviously. But
spoilers, obviously. Yeah, her pointing the gun there at the end is this nice little thing in the comics there. Yeah. So this is pretty much it's a little bit different with the connection with her dad and everything. Like I don't think that's comic accurate, but her being like an understudy of Kingpin and then deciding to be like, all right, this guy's actually a psycho. I should probably do something about this. It plays with this. And going back into Kingpin and where the next Echo show goes, I don't think that he was brought in to just be taken out with one gunshot and not seen.
That's why it's so funny because there's a 0% chance he's dead. Literally 0.0. Like for a second, I actually was kind of shocked at what was happening.
Yeah.
But then I realized there was so then I was just searching it again. You see the eye-to-eye quote was not in the comic itself, but in the next comic panel, he's got things over both eyes. So at least you believe maybe he was shot in the eye or something. This guy's basically like a superhuman. I mean, I saw him get hit by a car and he was up like a car through a wall through another wall, and he was up 20 seconds later. So I'm not really worried about
and whatever crazy explosive arrow that Kate shot at him too. He was limping. He was still good.
That's why honestly the Kingpin. I wasn't laughing and disrespect. It was just not only was he in the episode, he was just brutish all over the place.
Oh, okay.
It was hysterical.
Well, he did. I mean, he did impose he was a
anywhere he went. He ripped a car door off his thing. He did the reverse. He did the reverse of your move that you were talking about that he's done in the past.
He did. I think they did, and that was a nice little play on that too. And I mean, him and Kate going at it. It was just a gnat. It was he was just
it really was. He literally didn't give a fuck about her. She was literally trying to attack him. It was so crazy.
No, but the thing, that's why I think going back to that point I was making about Kingpin is we're definitely catching him at the worst possible time because he is, and this is just going to be all these little things that are culminating to piss him off and set him into motion. Now he's making enemies with Kate Bishop, obviously, with Eleanor, which we haven't even gotten into the Eleanor stuff going on there because that was an interesting turn. Our boy Jack was back.
Our
boy Jack. I told you he'd be out quick.
I wanted to queue up Kate, but we can leave that for last after some Yelena talk.
Go ahead, whatever.
But no, we got to go to this headline. Jack learns about the pastime of LARPing and see Eleanor. What a twist! What now? Not only was Jack a red herring, but in the end, spoiler alert. Again, we keep saying it like a knee-jerk reaction. We just hate for you to be tuning in live and you haven't seen the episode of Hawkeye on Disney Plus yet. But Kate Bishop basically dead to rights in front of the building. Bang! Jack saves the day with the sword. So the ultimate Jack is back. Sorry, Fox 24 advertising back in the day, but it was amazing to see. And Jack just ends up being, instead of a red herring, he just ends up being an absolute delight. It looked like he was a fish in water
thriving.
With that sword out there. He's absolutely thriving. Absolutely thriving.
Yeah, no, that was enjoyable to see. I mean, it was interesting to see. I mean, because I know even in the beginning of our talks, like episode 1 and 2, there was always that kind of implication because he has a big I guess past. I know Mika, his past, what he does in the comic side. But it was kind of cool to see a little bit of redemption because obviously, Kate, she's just a kid and she might have jumped the gun too soon. But then, with the stuff going on with Eleanor and all that stuff, she really is kind of just distraught with what's going on and then meeting Clint and all that stuff. A lot of stuff's going on at once, but it's kind of cool to see these characters get, a little bit of redemption and you get to see, a different side. It's always interesting the way the storytelling works where, at one point you think they're the bad guy and then they come in and save the day. So I always enjoy that kind of storytelling for sure. I mean, and we got a lot of, closure, especially with Eleanor, with what was going on with her and how, crazy she was. And, I mean, when you get someone like Vera Farmiga, to play Eleanor, you're gonna get your money's worth, absolutely, because she's killing it. Even in the Conjuring movies and all that stuff, she's always
she dominated quarter 4 of 2021 with the Saints of Newark too, where she portrayed Olivia Soprano.
Yeah, so
one of the best parts of that flick.
So it's always interesting. I mean, that's what I love about Marvel too, is they really well, whether it's Marvel or on the other side, where all these people, these A-list stars, want to just play around and have some fun, but they do work because it was a lot of cool. I mean, there was a lot of great character building within this show, some more than others, but it was just great to see that. And then again, like they said, to see our boy Jack kind of go from bad guy to good guy, all in 6 episodes was really exciting.
I'm talking about like an episode and a half. He went from the outhouse to the penthouse.
Yeah.
I still don't trust him.
Well, the mustache will always be sketchy. But what was funny was, and again, I obviously look for some commentary on this episode. Some Reddit comment was like, it would be an incredible red flag if your wife had you arrested for some kind of corruption, and then you were at a party a week later wielding a sword. It was like, yeah, that would be kind of a red flag, but
wouldn't
whatever.
be great.
Yeah.
What about the kid that he was arguing with? Everybody knows you peed your pants in the Hamptons. Like, come on, that was hysterical.
That was
Oh
great.
my gosh, that was a what was the kid's name in Superbad that ate lunch by himself? I can't remember. Steven Glansberg.
There it
Okay.
is, yeah.
Got it. Okay. But again, we have a great time. And then you know what? I'm an idiot, and this happens to me all the time. I didn't even notice that the LARPers were the servers at the party.
I was confused at first
the
too.
Staff. When she came up and she was like, boss, I was like, oh, Hawkeye like got like some mercenary to like join with it or something. Then I realized they are. And I'm like, that's pretty genius. They're in costume playing roles. And then I was laughing my ass off when they literally changed into Avengers costumes just so that they could do the exact same thing they're doing, but get more respect on it. It was just unbelievable.
It's
branding. You gotta have
really good branding. Good branding.
Kate's been harping on it since day one, and now they looked official. Those videos go up on TikTok, bro. Like now they're looking good.
Mm-hmm.
You never know.
What'd you think of the owl in the tree? A little too ridiculous, or what?
A little bit, yeah. A little bit. And just a national treasure going down like that. Like Kate did not give a fuck.
Yeah.
Do Kate or Clint like ever miss? Like I don't mean to be like taking us out of it, but like can't we get one miss just to be like, oh, I just barely missed?
Nope. No misses.
It feels like whenever they fire, it's just literally hitting. It was unbelievable. Speaking of that ice skating scene,
I think Hawkeye has missed not a couple, but he's had his fair share in the movies, right?
The movies isn't 100% for sure. But in this show, he was shooting at least like 90%.
Tracksuit Mafia is not the most. I don't think they're the most agile guys out there. I don't think that they're really catching the wherever I can't think of the word, the arrow is flying. I don't think that they're tracking it very well. I don't know if they're like a superhero level arrow avoiders. I think they're just like, if I was trying to avoid an arrow, that's a Tracksuit Mafia guy pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't know who is drawing up their game plan, but just rushing onto the ice like didn't really work out for him. But yeah, obviously check out that action for yourself. Better than we could ever sum it up. But so now we're down to it. Yelena and Kate Bishop. Obviously, what are we talking about here? The second gen Hawkeye and Black Widow. Yeah. Kind of to carry the mantle. How do you feel about the evolution of Kate in this show? And obviously, I think we all agree that the chemistry between Kate and Yelena is top notch. They can, like you said, they can start their own sitcom right now and do their own thing. Where do you think she's at, considering that Hawkeye basically treated her as like a co-Avenger in this movie? Where do you think she's at in that? I guess what did you call it? Threshold. Yeah, no,
I think it definitely showed her journey since episode 1 to now. Has definitely grown. When we first met her, she was just a kid, very cocky with her skills. Obviously she had a huge impact as her childhood. She was saved by Hawkeye at a younger age because the Chitauri were about to come into the house and have their way. So to show, obviously she took the time and trained for this and wanted to do this and had a passion for it. And it shows, because she is really, really talented with what she could do with a bow and arrow. But just her journey alone. I always liked Haley Steinfeld a lot. This was definitely a different kind of role for her. And not that I was worried for it, but I was just curious to see how she was, because this isn't like a singing like comedy or something like that. This is the big leagues. This is an MCU, and if you're gonna play someone like Kate Bishop, you're gonna have some shoes to fill. So I think that alone, it just made me excited. And hey, she proved herself. Absolutely,
Yeah.
I think she really was a standout alone. I mean, it's funny how this was a Hawkeye show, but it really zoned around Kate Bishop. I mean, she really came to play. And I think what's always interesting about these kind of things, because it's not like she's not the girl Hawkeye, she's just, or Lady Hawkeye. She really has her own, place to tell within the story,
sure.
and what she has done, and her story herself with how she was grown with her mom and stuff like that. Again, it really was great. And to see her relationship with Hawkeye improve was really promising, because Hawkeye, he wanted nothing to do with this. He had his own burdens with what happened with Endgame and whatnot, losing Black Widow. So he just wanted to spend time, with his family on Christmas. And, Kate Bishop really kind of put him on a roller coaster ride. But to see them connect, as well as they did. I mean, they had the conversations within this episode, like, I'm with you, like, this is it, we're in this together. So to see that kind of play out was really great. And just to see them like kick ass together was always awesome, because I mean, that was always the thing too, within the movies, Hawkeye, he was always kind of like, like, obviously he has his skills and whatnot, but everyone kind of looks at him like, he's just a guy with a bow and arrow. Like, he makes that joke in Avengers Age of Ultron of like, we got all these superheroes and I'm just a guy with a bow and arrow. Like, it doesn't make sense. So I think
how about the post-credit scene on the entire season? Spoiler alert, but they got this musical. Hawkeye seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah.
like they're talking about everyone's like amazing abilities, and they just say that Hawkeye's a nice guy.
I always look, I forget what talk show it was, but he did a thing with Fallon or something like that, where he did like a musical, like a musical number. Like, I think it was before.
I think it was at SNL. I think it was
SNL.
Yeah, on SNL, and all the other people were there.
And it was during the Ed Sheeran song, but he's like, a freaking Hawkeye. Yeah, that's what I always think now every time I see Hawkeye. But you know what? Listen, it's Jeremy Renner. He's been doing this since Thor 2011. Like, he really. This is his character. He knows how to do it, and he's been doing it for so long. And even just the weight of what he had on the show too. Again, it's just the chemistry alone, and not even getting into Yelena yet. It just it was really strong within this episode, and that's what you want. You want to see these characters grow and what they become, because obviously this isn't going to be the last time we see Kate Bishop. This isn't going to be the last time. Something's going to happen. So. I'm very pleased to see, again, as a difference. Like, sure, this could have worked as a movie, but I think having this landscape and what we got, I think worked and kind of really introduced these guys in a correct way, and and make it matter. And I think it really did.
I think this was the most appropriate for a show I like, because of how much we got to spend the time with Kate, and really, like, now you can kind of slot her in to wherever they're going to put her in with the MCU. And it's fit. I mean, we've spent enough time with her. If you're a fan of this, like, you're with it, you're there. I thought it was interesting the way that it fell out with, I don't know about you guys, but it comes to Eleanor, though. I don't think she's in jail for long. I don't know who she's first. What was the real reason she ended up trying to kill Clint then? So, like, what was the purpose of her? Just because he was just like an extra, he was just not somebody that she wanted around, just too much extra baggage there? Or what was the real reason she was trying to kill him?
Well, I don't know, because even that kind of got a little hairy too, because it was Contessa who showed up at the end of Black Widow.
That's why I think that's what I'm kind of getting around to with Eleanor, is that I think Contessa is going to find a way to finesse. Like, she obviously has some influence with government with what she was able to do with our boy U.S. agent. I still can't remember his name. We did this last time we brought him up with him there. Like, she obviously has some kind of pull there to do some stuff. So I'm just wondering what Eleanor was trying to kill. I don't know, but back to the original point was talking about Kate and just kind of go ahead.
Mercenary hire for the Kingpin through Eleanor.
Through Eleanor.
Yeah, so
Okay.
Eleanor gets Hawkeye taken out, doesn't get back to Maya that he was the one that killed her father.
Gotcha. Okay. Sounds good. That makes sense.
I know. It took us even though you watch it, it's like so much to digest that you kind of do forget, like, wait, why did that big moment happen?
Yeah.
You focus so much on Kingpin coming back into the universe. It's like, oh my gosh, that you can forget the complete reason of the meeting is probably to confirm that very fact.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of different characters. Okay, well that tracks then. So with Kate, it did an amazing job of introducing her as her own Hawkeye. I think that it was awesome that they used the show as a vehicle for Kate, for Yelena. That Yelena and Clint interaction on the ice rink between and what we got in No Way Home, it was just like Marvel's really been ripping you up with just the fallout of what we've had, the Infinity Saga and everything else that's happened since then. Like, and that was
superheroes are people too. Nobody sums that up better than Clint Barton, honestly.
Clint and Yelena too. I mean, Go ahead though. Go ahead.
No. I was gonna say that was the big message from Kate Bishop, was that Hawkeye showed her that you could be a hero without having to shoot lasers out of your hands or yada yada for sure.
And that was a nice moment too with Kate and Clint, kind of her actually hashing out how seeing him and everything and what made him such a hero in her eyes and everything. It was great to see him as the vehicle for that, because I mean, you put that in Jeremy Renner's hands, it's going to work out anyways, but it really added like a different dynamic to the show I wasn't anticipating, I guess, going forward. We got that nice hallway scene with the two, with Yelena and Kate too. I know you appreciated that as you were watching it, Casali and Maniac. If you're getting into Daredevil soon, as we've been trying to get into
that's true.
You will be, there's a epic Marvel cinematic scene in there that Daredevil fans would be going crazy over. But with Kate, the main thing with Kate in the Phase 4 fallout is I think obviously her mom's gonna be pissed at her. Her mom is pissed at her. They are not seeing eye to eye and just the ideology of their life and where Kate is going and her upbringing and everything. Like that's something that's definitely going to be explored again. And she definitely made a villain in Kingpin going forward if he shows up, whatever else. So I guess he's going to have his hands in everything then, right? Like, is that what we're looking at here with kind of at least these street level heroes? Maybe is this going to be a movie thing? Is this going to be a TV thing? Like, what do you guys think comes out of this Kingpin wise and where Kate ends up too?
I think that Kingpin, and I think you even alluded to this last week, but he'll be able to kind of metastasize is maybe the word I'm looking for, but grow, like not directly in view, but you'll be able to hear about him in the Spider-Man movies. You'll be able to hear about him in some of the other new projects. So they might be able to let him there. So there's 3 Spider-Man movies left. You could easily throw him into Act 1 of the second Spider-Man movie as kind of like an underling that, someone's fighting. Or even the big bad, he
might be the big bad for a couple.
But before, because they do have the Hobgoblin, like we talked about on the table. Obviously, Venom is 1,000% the waiting in the wings option in the clear.
And they could even do Venom and Kingpin at the same time. Like any of the villains they could use with Venom too. Which
this ain't Spider-Man 3 anymore. It's No Way Home. You can do as many villains as you want if you do it right.
Yeah.
So absolutely see. So but you gotta love the Phase 4 fallout. I will say that I will say the Phase 4 fallout feels a little lighter than some of the other ones, but I think they did more with more characters. Like they introduced Echo. They brought back Yelena and showed that she's going to be in a main role.
Very true.
They propelled Kate Bishop out of nothing. So obviously, was it a little underwhelming compared with
But it was world building.
Agreed. Well, I'm just saying, my knee jerk reaction was that. Versus Sam becoming Captain America, versus like Kang, in the multiverse breaking, versus WandaVision and like the whole revelation of the end of that show. It felt a little underwhelming in that, but at the same time, like I said, you got to acknowledge that there were so many characters that were built up, so many things that were created, so many storylines that were being. So many things that were implemented in this series that will have future implications. So this was kind of like more seed planting to me as far as
exactly.
And that's what you usually get anyway with these Marvels, with the MCU. I mean, we've grown to know that, most of it, is just leading to the next. I mean, a lot of finite storytelling and whatnot, but yeah, it definitely did kind of leave like kind of open ending. I mean, all alone, not even just Kingpin, but I know we kind of talked about it before. I mean, what I just really took away from this as well is, I mean, I'm a huge Yelena fan. I'm so happy she's back. I love Florence Pugh and all that. So to see the kind of conclusion of her trying to understand what happened to Natasha and Hawkeye pouring his heart out, like kind of just trying to explain that it was her choice. It was just and it was still kind of he didn't directly say I mean, he also said, like, if I really told you what happened, you wouldn't believe me because,
Exactly.
I mean, we all know it's, we went to Vormir and there was a red guy that told us we needed to get this
And the
stone
soul
and all that.
stone.
Yeah,
It
so
really shows you how fucking stupid DC
Well-
is. Yeah, no. I'm just,
Silly.
I'm calling a spade, but how stupid they are. That the culmination of Batman versus Superman was basically Superman randomly saying Martha, like, which had no significance between the both of them. But we have a limited series here on a throw off with one character, but you could have this emotional scene about a whistle that her and her sister knew and shared. Like, I'm just saying, it just shows why one is prospering and one is where it's at. Like, again, I'm not. I criticize with legitimacy here.
The connectivity of that scene and everything that you have to like know about all those characters to understand that little moment is what that's what you tune into this shit for. I mean, that's what you read comic books for, is those moments too. Like and that's what the MCU has done, is built those like this is definitely, I have a little 6-issue run of Kate Bishop Hawkeye over there, and it feels like it could be like something right out of that. Like, and that's especially this scene, like the way that it was the at the ice rink and the everything else. Like, it was great way to be pulled out of there and presented like that on the screen, truly authentic to the character. Go ahead, Casale. I think you wanted to jump in here.
No, yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, because that's, at the end of the day, that's kind of like what Feige has always kind of planned out with these movies and now shows of just different comic book runs and then a connective issue and all that stuff too. I mean, and then you have those little things that most of the time it works, sometimes it doesn't, whether it's a Martha or whatnot, but having that little whistle in there that kind of signifies what that true meaning is and what it meant to Yelena, Hawkeye doing that to her and stuff like that. I mean, hell, there was so many of it in No Way Home last week that just kind of, made us just cry out, scream out in the theater of, all those little things that we just grew up with. I mean, that's just kind of thing. But, that's Marvel has been doing it since 2008, even before, when they were starting, Iron Man. I mean, they know how to tell a story and how to connect it together. And even though this kind of still felt a little open-ended, you always kind of just know, like, what's next. I mean, even like once they killed, or like killed Kingpin, or, they just had that shot in the dark, you're sitting on the couch like, no, there's no way. Come on. There's no way. So,
no,
it's just,
and you don't see him. If we don't see him, you don't see him
absolutely
taken away, you can't believe that. I do want to touch on one thing before we start wrapping up. The watch that we figured out, the Rolex. That was clearly Laura's.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
With the little 19, basically but confirms. Yeah, but all but confirms. They didn't say Mockingbird or anything, but that's who it is in the comics. And with Clint, kind of, it looks like he's ready. Like he was handed over the bow again to Kate. They have started.
Kate went away to the farm.
She did. That was nice. Someone else got to go visit. It was good to see that. I do think they have ran their own Avengers team on the West Coast Avengers. There's been Young Avengers teams rumblings with Kate being introduced. She's a huge Young Avengers member, and all these other characters that we've seen. So I feel like that's kind of the role that we end up in with our original Hawkeye and apparently the former Mockingbird together. Is maybe that's where they end up in that mentorship role of whatever iterations of Avengers we're kind of getting coming out of all this fallout, because that's what we're getting, right? Is we're ending up with like 3 Avengers teams. I mean, we have like 3 storylines kind of going on. We have the New York City Kingpin, that kind of ground level stuff, whatever's going on in the government with Contessa. We saw all that. We have this multiversal war going on, but we don't even know about. And then concurrently, we have Eternals and the Celestial threat that we saw, and we have no idea when that's going to be doing anything or what it's actually doing, or when the threat will return to everything. So we kind of have 3 things going on at once that are threats, and that seems like we're on the way for maybe 3 different Avengers teams that can kind of tackle those things and just have all these different storylines at once.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, because that's the thing too. It's always like, it's just different. But I think they again, Marvel has proved that they know how to do it. I mean, they set up a whole series from 2008 all the way to 2019 with Endgame. So it's always exciting. And again, it's different. It's different what they did with that, because obviously, they kind of grew with us. They let us kind of understand their kind of way of storytelling, where you have to see all these movies to understand what happens in Infinity War and Endgame with Thanos and the Infinity Stones. So, but that was just one kind of through line, even though there was different things like playing off of each other, but that was one through line. So then to go into this, where you get the multiverse stuff with Spider-Man, you get and Doctor Strange, you get the street level stuff with this, and then exactly what you just said, Jake. So, it makes me just very curious to see what the through line is, because I mean, everyone's sitting there like, okay, who's the next Thanos? Who's the next big bad? But like, I don't think they're worried about that right now. I think they're just kind of doing their own thing and just seeing what works. And then, I mean, now having this sort of, content producer where they can have shows on Disney Plus and they can have movies in the theater and stuff like that. And it works because obviously, a lot of people are checking in and writing on Twitter and all that stuff. And, and then it lets, people like us do the reviews of it. So it's definitely working to see. And I'm just waiting to really kind of see how much it does, how much they really can trust their audience. Because I mean, listen, people were loving No Way Home, but I saw some reactions online, and then when Daredevil popped up, some people in the, I don't even know if it was my theater, but like some people didn't know like who that was, so it was like, I just, I think it's still gonna kind of see, it stands the test of time. What really connects? Like, are everybody gonna? Because you get the average people, like when Infinity War is coming out, you got the average moviegoer, like I never saw any of them, but this has a lot of pull behind it, so I want to see it. The same thing with No Way Home. There was a lot of stuff in there that, I mean, I went to that movie with a bunch of friends, but they never saw, Amazing Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 3. So having that kind of fallout where us nerds love it and eat it up because we've been watching this stuff for forever and over again. So like, obviously that means a lot more to us than the average viewer who just watches this stuff and like doesn't get it but kind of understands what's going on. So I think that really, what I'm trying to say is that really is kind of what really will stand the test of time, to see what they can do with these next phases, to see if how much they're going to connect these shows with the movies and what the overall thing is, whether it leads to another Avengers or whatnot, but I mean, I'm excited with this. I'm excited with, the Doctor Strange trailer dropped today that we saw at the very end of No Way Home, which that seems so awesome and cool. And with what they were able to do with No Way Home, to have, that is just gets me so excited, because it really does give promise. So I think Marvel still has, even though, it's Marvel, they made their money, they know what they're doing, but it really is going to see what happens with all these shows, because they have a lot of shows lined up. We still got Miss Marvel and all this stuff. So it really will see like how much, they're going to rely on you to watch these episodes to understand what happens in the next movie, or vice versa. So that really, that gets me interested to what's to come, but very exciting, of course, because us, we eat this up, we watch it. It's so much fun, every Wednesday popping on the TV to have something new to watch. So, so we'll see how it works, and the rest of the way. I'm really excited to see, what this is all building to, if it is.
Boys, when one door closes on Hawkeye, another door opens.
Yes.
Next week, we will have Boba Fett. We will see how his takeover of Tatooine is going. We'll see how his takeover of the universe is going. Let's face it, high expectations. The Mando made Boba Fett cool again. There was no argument about that. So we'll see if the Book of Boba Fett can.
Boba Fett was always cool. The prequels kind of.
I don't know. Return of the Jedi kind of nerfed him a little bit.
Well, that was, listen. I mean, I didn't get a chance to talk about this the 2 episodes ago when you guys were diving into it. I am so excited for Boba Fett. I mean, I'm a Star Wars nerd. I love it. I love everything about it. And Mando has, as far as, what Disney Plus is doing with the Star Wars stuff, just having fun with it and getting back to, the group. You don't have to worry about
Mando is doing a good job of that.
And Mando is great. Mando is my favorite of what's come out on Disney Plus. So to see them going into Book of Boba Fett, Tamara Morrison coming back, Fennec Shen in the mix, it just got me so excited because, listen, Boba Fett was always that guy. Like, they did Empire and they didn't realize how much Boba Fett was gonna be a huge impact. And then Return of the Jedi came out and he kind of went out like, okay, that's it. Like, he died, he fell in the Sarlacc pit. So to see him coming back, is just so exciting. And I guess all of us are so interested to see. I'm sure they're going to show how he got out of that Sarlacc pit and whatnot. But
that's really all I'm tuning in for. I just need to see how he got out. I'll be happy.
Well, and just again, it's Star Wars. That's what Mando has done so well, is because Mando takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi. And this is, I assume it's going to take place right after, his introduction.
I think it's right, yeah.
But that's what's so exciting and how well they do it, where it feels like it's post-Empire, but like still kind of close to it, where with how the stormtroopers look and Tatooine and all those stuff. So I am beyond excited. Like, the Marvel stuff obviously has been great, but like this is it. Like, I am so excited for the Book of Boba Fett for sure.
You're locked in, Casali.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Couldn't agree more. A lot to look forward to. And that's what we do here on What's TrainWreck Watching. Make sure you are following along on Twitter, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, anywhere you get your major podcasts, anywhere you get your entertainment, because we are there. Because here at What's TrainWreck Watching, it's not about someone's new deal. It's not about a new cassette player. It is always about next.